everyone, welcome back to the Jack Chappell Show, and today we're talking about my 10 personal rules of money. Now, you may not agree with all of these, but you should probably, think about agreeing with most of them. So anyways, let's get started here. The very first thing I want to mention, my first rule of money, is that money should go where it multiplies, not subtracts. What do I mean by that? Well, I kind of got this from Kevin O'Leary, the investor on Shark Tank. I heard him say this many years ago when I was a kid. Money goes where it should multiply, and I added the not subtract part. He just says money goes where it multiplies. So what do I mean by that? I mean make good financial decisions. So instead of spending your money and having your bank account go down and down and down and down, think about investing a lot of that money instead. So instead of going out and buying those pair of shoes or pair of Jordans that you don't need, those whatever that you want to go get a $50 haircut, you want to dye your hair or something for $100 if you're a female, if you want to go get that new dress, those new pair of shoes, don't do that. How about spending that $50, $100, $500, saving it up, and then investing that money so it can multiply. Now that can be investing in if it's $50 or $100, you can invest in like household items. That'll be a whole different video to save you some money in the long run. You can invest in stocks. I do have a $500 rule, so only invest $500 at a time or more. That's another whole nother video. But anyways, that's my very first rule. Money should go where it multiplies, not to subtract. So even daily stuff, like don't go out to eat all the time. All right, don't do anything that'll decrease your bank account. So that's the very first thing I want to mention. The very second thing I want to mention is the daily profit. Daily profit. Now this is something I haven't really brought up in other videos for whatever reason, but it is actually something that I do live by every day. So every single day I add up my total amount of money I made that day and the total amount of expenses I have. So that includes things like, utilities, gas, whatever. Any monthly expense, divide that by 30. Your income, divide that by 30. And make sure that your expenses never exceed your income. This is including taxes and everything, okay? So that is something that I live by. And, if you only make $5 in a day, you got $4 to live on. If you make $10 a day, you got $9 to live on. If you make $1,000 a day, if you spend $999, I'm going to get pissed at you, but you only have $999 to spend. So that's the very first thing. Just always make sure you're gaining wealth and gaining a profit every single day. And that's something that I absolutely live by. So we're going to move on to the number 3 thing here. We're going to move on to my third rule of money. So that is the rising tide. So this is something, if you've been watching this channel for a long time, you know that it's something that I definitely live by, and it's this quote called, I added the second part of this quote, but it's a rising tide lifts all boats, and that's by Warren Buffett or someone else, I forget who it was, and then I added the part, be the tide, meaning that if you are to gain wealth, a lot of people feel bad about, making money. But I think of it as a bunch of reasons, but one of the things is that if you make money, the people around you tend to make money too, or be wealthier in some sort of way, whether that's your clients, your business partners, your family, your friends. All of a sudden you can pay for dinner. That saves them $50. That's been one of the best things about me actually gaining some money, is that now when I go out to eat or go out with friends or whatever, or go out with my girlfriend, I can pay for myself plus my girlfriend, or maybe pay more of the beer bill or whatever it is, right? I don't drink beer, but you know what I mean, right? So what I'm trying to say here is just be the tide, be the rising tide. Try to grow your wealth, try to grow your income, and everyone you care about around you will probably be happier and healthier and wealthier in the long run. There's actually a correlation between socioeconomic status, so like income and where you rank in the social class, and health. And if you're poor, it's, you're much sicker and much less healthy than if you were rich. I know it's kind of a thing that you would expect, but there was actually a study that came out recently that proved that fact. So it's good to be wealthy, it's good to have lots of money, and you shouldn't feel bad about it. I didn't write the number 3 here. So the number 4 thing is didn't write the number 4. Don't speculate. What do I mean by that? Well, don't speculate. I should say don't speculate most of the time. I have this 80-20 rule with investing. 80% of the time, take safe bets that'll earn you, like in the stock market specifically, that'll earn you 4 to 6% dividends every year. And if the value of the stock goes up, that's great. If it goes down, that's okay. You're still getting a dividend. So don't speculate. Like, don't bet on a lot of things that you think will happen just because you have a gut feel or because people are telling you it's going to go up in value. So whether it's real estate, like I'm going to get to that one in one of the next numbers here, but in real estate there's so much speculation, but you can actually build a business in real estate, which I'm going to get to, which is much more profitable in the long run than if you're just speculating. So just because you think something will happen in business or in life or whatever doesn't mean it's going to happen. So this doesn't just apply to business, it applies to your life too. Maybe you think that you're going to get a promotion in the next 3 years. So you build your life around that promotion in 3 years, which might never happen. Same thing, like maybe you think that you're going to get a girlfriend or boyfriend or husband or wife in the next year, yet you are still single and you haven't met anyone that you're interested in. So don't speculate. Don't bet on things that haven't happened yet. That's one of the things that I live by for sure. So number 5 is actually the real estate one, which I was going to talk about, which is stop trading time for money. This is something that I can't stress enough, especially to a lot of you younger people out there. The time for money thing, you're going to realize this. Actually, I'll tell you the story of why this became so important to me. Because one of my mentors, named Jeff, the real estate guy, I talk about him lots of my videos, and he was kind of describing to me when I was a teenager the difference between building a business and building an active career, an active job. So he's pretty much telling me the difference between investing versus trading time for money. So the example he gave me was, he was talking about real estate specifically. And so we were deciding whether to get into flipping in real estate, which, if you don't know, flipping is when you buy a beat up shitty house and then you renovate it, you make it look a lot better, and then you sell it for hopefully a profit within a month. That's kind of what flipping is. And so that is speculation, because you don't know if someone's going to buy it for an extra 30 grand. And you might make 10 grand every time you do one of those houses, but you're still trading time for money. You're still going out, you're still renovating it, usually by yourself or with 1 or 2 other people. You're renovating, you're fixing the floors, and you do that for a few weeks, and then you hopefully make 10 grand, maybe you won't. And so the example he gave me was that, flipping, which is speculation, you're trading time for money, versus investing in real estate. So he said, like, look, if you really want to get rich, if you really want to become an investor by the time you're, he was saying by the time I was 30 or 40, it ended up being a lot sooner than that. By the time I was 30 or 40, then look into buying real estate and renting it out to make a profit every month, and then building a business around that. So you buy a property, you get some cash, you get some tax deductions, you use that, you buy another property, and it keeps going, and hopefully by the time you're 50 or 60, you can make $1 million a year by sitting on your ass and just making sure you have some tenants in your properties. So stop trading time for money. That's something that I started living by when I was a teenager. That's something that you guys should take into account. Like, what are some passive ways that you guys can make money? YouTube's one of them. YouTube provides a good passive income. Right now, I'm really transparent with you guys about this. Like right now, just from YouTube, I'm doing about $1,500 to $1,600 a month now. It's gone up a lot in the past 3 months. So it's a good passive income for you guys to think about YouTube. So number 6, I call this one build the door. And this goes along the same lines as speculation. So there's that kind of saying like, it's when someone knocks on the door of opportunity, make sure you're prepared to answer the door. But there's a problem with that. And I'll explain what it is. What if no one ever knocks at the door of opportunity? What if you don't have that opportunity? You're kind of waiting, you're speculating that something good's gonna happen to you. It's like, I think that my mom used to say this too. It's like, there is no knight in shining armor to come and take away all of your problems and to let you live your dream life. Like, no one's going to come magically show up and make your life so much better. It's on you. So what do you do if there's no door of opportunity? you build the fucking door and you make your own opportunity. And that's something that, especially this year or a year and a half ago when I started all this, man, that was an important saying for me to live by. Build your own door of opportunity, because no one's going to give it to you. No one's going to give you an opportunity out of nowhere unless you're very, very lucky. So anyways, we're going to move on here. This is called accept responsibility. And there's a saying, actually, I thought it was by Bill Gates, but it might not be. It's, if you're born poor, it's not your fault. But if you die poor, that's on you. And that's a saying that I heard that when I was a teenager, but like probably 14 or 15 years old. And I didn't really know what it meant at that age. Like I was just starting to get into stocks and learning about business and all that kind of stuff. But then I kind of realized what the deeper meaning of that was. It was accepting responsibility for all the bad things that happen to you. And I know that this sounds kind of weird, like there's a lot of things out of your control, but accepting responsibility for almost everything in your life, it actually just makes you happier, makes you live a better life. Like I remember one of the things that my mom used to get mad at me for when I was a kid was that whenever something bad would happen and it would be my fault, I'd be like, it's not my fault, it's whatever, it's Spencer's fault, that's my sister's name. It's Gray's fault, that's my brother's name. It was whatever, it just wasn't my fault. And she'd always get pissed at me for that. And then just even in the past few years, me accepting responsibility just for everything. Like when I lose my keys, I used to blame someone else. Now it's just like, oh man, I know I lost them, where'd I put them? Just simple things like that. Accept responsibility for everything. Now this, even going into business, like one of the things that I've learned from working with a lot of entrepreneurs, small business entrepreneurs, that's what I did in my corporate job for a while, was that whenever their business was failing or not doing well, it was always, the market's bad, or whatever, retail's not doing well right now, or, the restaurant business is really tough right now, stuff like that. And they would never say like, look, it's my fault, we aren't marketing well enough, we aren't setting our prices well enough, we aren't, our service is bad, whatever. They never say that. It's always someone else's fault. And when you accept responsibility, all of a sudden, your business might actually take a turn. It might take a turn. All right, so we're going to move on here to the number 8 thing. Hopefully this fits on the camera. It should. Number 8, I might have to write smaller for the next few ones. The number 8 thing is, well, this is kind of simple. Money equals more money. What do I mean by that? This is just super simple, but this is one of my motivations for why I like to make money, why I wanted to start a small business years ago. Because the more money you have, the more money you can earn, and the easier it is to earn more money. So just the classic example of this is simple math. If you invest $100 at 1%, you're going to get back $1, okay? But yet if you have $10,000 at 1%, you're going to make back $100. And eventually that adds up over time. So the more money you have, the more money you can earn. Super, super, super simple. I'm going to move right past that one in a second. But yeah, just keep in mind that I think what that means to me is that the beginning, the very beginning, when you're just starting to make money, that's the hardest part. When you're going from zero to whatever your first goal is, $40,000, that's the toughest part, trust me. For me, the toughest part was just making the first $1,000 a few years ago. Like that was tough from my own side businesses at the time. That was the toughest part. Like, man, I just didn't know how to make $1,000. And then eventually it builds up, and now I make $1,000 and won't even blink. It's like, yeah, it's fine. So trust me, it's a lot easier to make money once you actually have some money. That's what that means. So don't give up. I guess that's the other meaning of that. Don't give up if you're poor and just starting out, and don't make a lot of money. So we're going to move on to number 9 here. Number 9 is something I like to call the fake, that almost spelled a swear word, fake middle class. Isn't it weird that I'll like say swear words like fuck, but I won't spell them out on the board? That's weird. Anyways, this one's called the fake middle class. So what do I mean by that? I've made a bunch of videos on this. It has to do with lifestyle inflation. I'm just going to give you an example here. I just made this up on the spot like a few minutes ago before I started recording. This part here, I didn't make up the fake middle class part. I've lived by that for a while. So it's, if you are poor, live poor. If you're middle class, live middle class. If you're rich, live middle class. So what do I mean by that? Pretty much these days, like the keeping up with the Joneses, that's what this one's about. So if you're middle class, live like you're middle class. Don't go out buying first class tickets. Don't go out buying stuff that you don't need just so that you can look like you're wealthy. Like I made that video, The Illusion of Wealth, like how people want to portray themselves as being wealthy even when they don't have a lot of money. I don't really understand that too much. But what this means is just live within your means. You don't necessarily have to live like frugally. Is that a word, frugally? You don't have to live like you're frugal, like the book The Millionaire Next Door says. But pretty much just always make sure that you're only spending money or investing money in stuff that will benefit you in the future financially. That's what that means. So yeah, if you're making, $3,000 a month and you take a vacation that costs you $3,000, that's probably a bad idea. Make more money and then go on vacation. That's the rule. Number 10 here is ABL. What does ABL stand for? ABL equals always be learning. I know ABC's is always be closing from that movie Glengarry Glen Ross, which I haven't seen. But yeah, ABL, always be learning. So super simple. This is what every single billionaire investor will tell you, is that one of the most important reasons for their success is that they're always learning, they're always reading, they're always trying to keep up on the news, business news and new ways that they can learn how to make money. And that's one of the rules that I absolutely live by. And I didn't always live by this. I remember when I was a teenager, like I was learning, but I wasn't reading any books. Not really. I mean, I was reading like science books, not business books or nonfiction books. It wasn't until I started hitting my 20s that I really started to listening to like business podcasts all day and Bloomberg and like Grant Cardone, like salespeople. And I started reading books, especially the last year, last even 4 months, I started reading tons of books. So always be learning. Definitely something I live by. Now I do have more rules, but I wanted to stick to 10 core ones just so the video wouldn't be 45 minutes. So I'll probably make some more of these in the future. But what do you think? Do you have any rules of money that you live by? Let me know in the comments. Just for now, you're all very beautiful people. I'll see you guys in the next video.